pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mark this off. Statement of commitment by Trustee Denbrink. Number 5.
All right, statement of commitment, policy 1.4. Thank you. Statement of commitment, policy 1.4. The board recognizes that the authority to act rests with the entire Board of Education, in that business shall be transacted only in official meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Public participation process. Members of the audience are welcome to make comments at the designated time on the agenda. Please register on the sign-up sheet and limit your comments to 3 minutes when your name is called. Out of respect for all individuals, please refrain from personal criticism in an open forum. Policy 167.3. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Brandon. Support by Tanya. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say the same. Motion pass. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Pam,
Support.
support by Brandon. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say the same. Motion pass. Educational highlights. All right, we have a couple of certificates to hand out tonight. First, we have Alex Janice. Come on up, Alex. He is, All-Star basketball All-State basketball honorable mention.
Well deserved, Alex. You were a lot of fun to watch. Never saw anybody work harder on a basketball court than that young man. Great job.
And Nathan Chrysler. All-State honors in choir.
Nice job. Good job. He's a future American Idol. Well done, you two. You're a freshman, right? So, okay. Got a couple more years to listen to you sing. A couple more years.
Public comment.
If you haven't heard him sing yet, get out and listen.
First is Jeff. What, how do you say your last name? Ducharme.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Ducharme, and on behalf of my wife, Rhonda, and our daughter, Haley, we would like to thank Allendale for the past 12 years. We've had some challenges, but the APS staff has certainly helped Haley get through some challenging, difficult times. Now, I'm not going to rap this like Hayden Rody, but I'll do my best to be a little dopey. Yes, I could stand up here and list off many of your great staff like Keith Picard, Chad Myers, Mark Gottberg, but today I'd like to share some thoughts and special teacher Stephanie Torp and her supportive staff. She is much more than a teacher in the classroom, and her reach and compassion goes far beyond the brick walls of Allendale High School. Kindness, caring, supportive, a friend, a role model, responsible, genuine, concerned. Questions are just a few words that describe Stephanie. But truly, to capture her impact, you would have to add words like devoted, inspiring, selflessness, unwavering. She doesn't just teach, she listens, she guides, she uplifts, whether in the classroom, in the hallway, or a quiet moment of encouragement. Stephanie makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. Her legacy isn't just in the lessons taught, but the lives that she's touched. From the bottom of our hearts, we'd like to thank you for being supportive over the last 4 years, and we will miss the cluttered inbox of emails, pictures, text messages, but we'll always be grateful you were here to guide her through their high school years. Thank you very much. And a shout out to the Links program as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Mike Eichenberger.
That's okay, nobody gets it right, it's all good. I've lived with it my whole life. Good evening. I speak on behalf of my wife, Tammy, and my kids who are in the district, Tristan and Andy. Thank you for being here tonight and continuing to take an active role in our community's future. I come before you today not just as an Allendale Public School parent, but as someone deeply invested in the well-being and success of our students, our teachers, our schools, and our community. Tonight I speak as a disappointed member of our community. The recent failure to pass the school bond measure is more than just a missed opportunity, it's a message. And that message is hard to understand right now. This bond wasn't about politics, it wasn't about agendas, it was about replacing outdated HVAC systems, updating security measures, increasing space for outgrown facilities, and making sure our students have access to the tools they need to be competitive in the 21st century. These are not optional improvements, they are basic responsibilities. I understand that asking for public funding is never easy. We all feel the pressures of tight budgets and rising costs. But investing in our schools is not a burden, it is our obligation. When we say no to a bond like this, we are not saving money, we are deferring problems, allowing them to grow more expensive, more dangerous, and more difficult to solve. Our students, teachers, and administration feel it, and frankly, our community will feel it in the long run because communities directly benefit from strong competitive schools. I want to thank those that did show their support. Your voices matter. I hope you'll continue to raise them. But tonight I ask everyone, especially those who voted against the bond, to reflect on what kind of future we're building, what kind of message we are sending our children when they say we cannot find a way to invest, when we say we cannot find a way to invest in their education, in their safety, and their opportunity to thrive. We can do better. Let's not wait until conditions weaken further. Let's not wait until we're forced to act in crisis. Let's take responsibility now and find a way to support the future we claim to believe in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Troy Lampin.
Good evening again. I'd like to speak now about my support for renewing our district's membership in the Michigan Association of School Boards that's up for vote tonight. The MASB provides critical resources that strengthen our ability as a district to govern effectively, many of which, if not all of them, have been directly this board has directly benefited from, providing professional development, legal guidance, policy support, advocacy at the state level, and all of those have been referenced in this very room many times. MASB ensures our local voices are heard in Lansing. These services help districts navigate increasingly complex educational landscapes while staying compliant, informed, and proactive. I understand that not all ideological positions taken by the MASB will perfectly align with every member of the board or our broader community. Some I don't align with, some you don't align with, some we both do align with. That is the nature of any broad coalition. But rather than seeing that as a weakness to distance ourselves from, I encourage you to view it as an opportunity. an opportunity to engage, contribute, both at the state and local level, having conversations on public education while still benefiting from the collective strength that MASB offers. Membership doesn't demand agreement on every issue. It just is a shared commitment to our students and to the continued improvement of how we lead this district. Please, let's remain at the table where we can learn, grow, and ensure our district remains informed, connected, and well represented. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Ronnie Allen.
Hello. Good evening. Ronnie Allen, Allendale. I don't know why I say that. Regarding the MASB membership renewal, I was reviewing the past year's conversations about MASB membership when it has come up for renewal in the past. A few things came to mind. First of all, while it may be in the past, it is still very relevant that MASB refused to cut ties with NASB, the national one, when our parental and constitutional rights were trampled during the COVID era, even when Michigan's Senate asked them to leave. They ignored both parents and elected representatives in favor of following a narrative that was at best misguided. Also, in the past, this board has discussed class offerings in regards to some of the MASB classes pushing leftist ideology. They have pushed diversity, equity, inclusion, complete with how to craft your district's DEI action plan, among other progressive agendas. In the past, also, when SETSAG, the insurer, was discussed, Dr. Cooper clarified that their coverage could continue for another year if the membership was canceled, allowing ample time to find a replacement. Also, cost has been discussed. As of last year, membership cost over $5,000 a year. In the past, the rationale for staying with MASB was how much board members enjoy taking their classes. A membership is not needed to take those classes, but you would pay more if a $100 class, I think it's gone up, but would cost about 30% more. The discussions have gone round and round about how much there was a desire for the classes, but the bottom line is that the opportunity for those classes doesn't go away with withdrawal from membership. They are simply a la carte. I think it's reasonable to audit utilization of the classes also. How much has it been used this past year and the year prior? How much would have been saved by the district if you had taken those classes without having the membership? Ongoing or cost. Ongoing membership has been rationalized as a way to affect change in MASB from the inside. Again, like last year, we asked, did that happen? What was the outcome? And regardless to the extent it did, if it did, was it more than a drop in a very progressive DEI promoting bucket? And was it worth the cost to the school? That's just my question, the commentary on that.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Janine Jasper.
Hi, good evening. My name, excuse me, is Janine Gasper. I usually prepare something wonderful to say, and I'm sorry I did not have time to do that today, but I wanted to extend a thank you to Dr. Cooper and Kevin Holstead for your participation in the Friends of Allendale. I really liked working with both of you to get the bond passed. I was very disappointed that it did not pass. And I wanted to voice concern for other school board members that may not have supported this bond. You are sitting on a public school board education, or sitting on a school board of public education. The bond was going to provide much needed updates and facilities that our kids could have to participate, like Troy said, and compete with the schools around us. Unfortunately, because of that, I'm looking into sending my freshmen to Coopersville. It's not an easy decision to make. I'm going to be going over there to tour the facilities and talk to the principal, but they offer the things he wants, and that includes athletic facilities. And you all know I love Allendale, so this is not going to be an easy decision, but I wanted you to know that that is the repercussions of the vote that some of you pushed in our community. Thanks.
Thanks, Janine. That is all on the list. Is there anybody else who would like to make a public comment at this time? If not, we will move to committee reports. Do we have anything from CF? Nothing. Thank you. Superintendent's report. Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, thank you. A lot going on the next few weeks, as per usual this time of year. A lot of concerts, a lot of art shows. Just a great opportunity to honor the talents of our students. So if you get a chance to attend any of these, please do so. I always like to say, if you want to enjoy the musical stylings of an 8th grade saxophonist named Allie Cooper, she'll be playing on Thursday night, so you're welcome to come watch that. Well, a lot going on. Next are our bullying and discipline reports. I went through them. I hope you had a chance to look through them as well. Nothing stood out to me. We always see behaviors go up a little bit January, February, March. Kids get antsy. They just came off a long break. It's dark. It's, they're crabby. And we also know that our referrals have gone up because we started tracking more of the disciplines rather than just tier 3. We looked at some of what we call tier 2. And so that's why some of our numbers are up. But really, nothing stood out to me. Just curious if anybody had any questions about the bullying or discipline reports. I think we're going to continue with our PBIS and our MTSS interventions, and that's why we're tracking more of those behaviors. Next up, bond election recap. Yeah, it was unfortunate that the bond did not pass. I felt like we did a really good job trying to get the information out. Still discouraging when I hear from community members that they felt unaware of the bond. I really don't know how else to get information in people's hands. We put them in their mailbox. They didn't get it. People ask what's next. What's next is we need a break. I know I need a break. It's been 15 months now of working on this and a lot of 2 or 3 nights a week working on this, and I think it's best if we just take a step back. What I've already done is Mr. Torno and I have reviewed our facility assessment to see which things have to be addressed. We know that there were some things in there that needed immediate attention that we had hoped we could cover with the bond, and we'll try to knock off as many of those as we can financially from our general fund budget and our capital projects budget. I'll be sharing with you a list probably in the weekly update this week that Gary and I have put together of priorities, things that really kind of need that immediate attention. We know boilers, for example, we're not sure we can get through the next winter with a couple of them that we have, and some hot water heaters at the high school that are now, they were original, so they're 30 plus years, 30 years old. So things like that you'll see on the list. And again, it's just unfortunate that we weren't able to get the bond across the finish line, but that happens, and we will regroup. And that is all I had for superintendent comment.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Board comment. Tanya, we'll start with you.
They've left now, but Ms. Torp, I was lucky to be in her room during professional day, and she is amazing. Just from that short half hour I was in her room, there was a couple kids that were in there, and she was doing an amazing job. So hats off to her, and I do know Haley Descharnes very well, so she's done a great job over the years, so I just wanted to let her know. Very good job.
Thank you. Pam?
Couple of things. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of our graduates who will be here next Thursday, well, not this Thursday, next Thursday, walking across the stage and receiving their diplomas. That's always very exciting. It's one of the things I like most about being on the board, is getting to see all of the education come to fruition and to hear about the plans that people have for the future. So congratulations to them. Additionally, we have some individuals from the district who are retiring, and I would like to recognize them. Marie Van Faro, who is the Oakwood social worker, Tracy Salt, who is the high school Spanish teacher, Marla Chapin, Evergreen 3rd grade teacher, Sean Coffey, District AMS maintenance and custodian, Kathy Ruers, transportation bus driver. Those people do an amazing job. Many of them have been here for a lot of years. So I would like to say thank you for your service, and we wish you all the best in the future. One other tiny thing, to say that I'm disappointed in the millage is an understatement. I feel like we've done a major disservice to our students, our future students, and our community. The things that were on this millage were needed. They were needed to not only fill in the gaps of what is being upgraded or what is being replaced due to use, but also it's a investment in our future. And so I was very sorry to hear that that didn't pass. Beyond that, I was even more sorry to hear that some people in the community took it upon themselves to get involved in a negative ad campaign, and that people at the county did the same thing. I find that just a really sad statement for the community. That's it.
Thanks, Pam. Josh?
I will repeat some of what's already been said. I too was disappointed by the bond outcome. Even in the year since we passed the previous bond and built the ECC, the cost of that building is less or around the same of what it would cost us to do an addition on that building now. So for what we built that entire building for from scratch to what we can put in addition now is nearly the same cost. The value of what we can get today is only going to go up more. The cheapest day to build something was yesterday. So it's very lacking in vision for our community to not see that this is the system that's in place. As someone who lives in Allendale and has lived here all my life, graduated from Allendale, I would say I would love if someone had a great idea to propose how we don't pay property taxes and public schools get funded. Until that happens, this is the system in which we live in order to fund the building of our buildings. So we now have, while I believe, yeah, there are operational and maintenance items that we'll be able to address, you see that on a given yearly basis, we're able to stockpile $1 million, $1.5 million. That means in order for us to put the addition on the ECC, it will take us roughly 15 years of saving $1.5, $1.2 million to only be able to do that one project, which makes it pretty unfeasible because, again, in that 15 years' time, it won't cost 19 million anymore. It will cost double that, right? So I just think that the lack of visionary people to support the needs of the community is disappointing. I think the team, I was on the first round. I did not participate in the second round, but I just want to say thanks to the team and community members. I think they did all that they knew what to do as well in trying to get the word out. I agree with Pam. I've heard other people that have come to me now about negative comments and negative campaigns and misinformation being shared. And so I'll just publicly state, if anybody would like an education or a conversation with somebody who is pro-Allendale, pro-community, I dislike property taxes as well, but I voted for the bond. I'm more than happy to speak with anybody on that subject. So, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Brandon?
Yeah, so I appreciate everybody's comments on the bond. I know that's something that a lot of people in the community were looking forward to. The feedback I got in conversations I had was that the field house wasn't necessarily viewed as valuable for the cost. So, and the other thing is we had the vote in the primary, the bond was voted down, and it was put on this ISD sort of special election without many changes, and I don't know what feedback was collected from the community before it was redrafted and before it was put back on the ballot. So I think it's, the community is interested in investing in our school and in our students. But I think there's an opportunity for us to ask maybe better qualifying questions, what people are really looking for, and then put something together that we think represents the feelings of the community. But I recognize not a popular position, but I think there's an opportunity in this.
All right, thank you. Liz?
I figured you were going to be next. I too was disappointed because I think that Troy said somebody said it, there is a direct relationship, whether your kids go to Allendale, where they don't, whether your kids are graduated, the better your public school system is, the better your community is. And so I know that there were a lot of things in the bond that not everybody was a fan of, but I wish that more people would have became engaged with it, because if you would have looked at the finances of taking some of those things out that people weren't necessarily a fan of, or some people weren't, the financial impact was pretty minimal over the course of time. And I think it was more about just taxes in general and not necessarily certain things in the bond, which I get it. I'm with Josh. I don't like him either. But I think the fight necessarily isn't with the school at the local level. It's with how schools get funding. And there seemed to be a big misunderstanding with that. And we can't necessarily control that. So in order to improve our schools, unfortunately, that's really about the only option. Because like Josh said, it's going to take years and years to do some of these projects that are pretty necessary. We as a board, I know I do, and I know multiple other people do, we pour over the budget and we make sure that we are not spending money on unnecessary things. So it is disappointing to think how we're going to save millions of dollars for improvements that are needed for the community and for the students without going out for another bond at some point. So hopefully we can get more of that information out in the future, but that's where we're at.
Thank you, Liz. Anna?
I have no comment tonight.
All right, thank you. All right, president's comments. Yeah, I kind of reiterate what most people have said about the bond. I guess the thing that really probably bothered me the most were two things. One is that the community seemed to have opinions about stuff, about information that they did not have, because I was at every board, every public comment, and we did not have 2,000 people at our public comment. We had people that assumed, as if you looked at Facebook, a lot of misinformation. One, the school board needs to learn how to live within a budget. I believe we put money into savings every year from our budget. I believe we do not have a negative balance sheet at the end of our school year. Scott does a great job. Dr. Cooper does a great job of that. And it was really disheartening to me to listen to some of them comments that we're not doing our jobs, we're not being, we don't do our due diligence with the money we're given, because, as Dr. Cooper would say, the whole time he's been here, we have added to the fund balance to be a school that is not beholden to, worrying about where our dollars are coming from. So it was a little disheartening. I hate looking at Facebook. I stopped for a while because the truth wasn't there. The truth was assumed. We were called, school board and administration alike were called names that I didn't appreciate, because it wasn't true. They do not know. They do not come to these school board meetings. I appreciate everybody that's here, and you guys are the regulars. There are people that say, oh, the school board does this. They do not come to the school board meetings, and they have not engaged with me. They did not engage with Dr. Cooper, and it was very disheartening that the information that they were putting out there was not the truth. So, again, I'm very disappointed the bond passed. As Dr. Cooper did, I put in a lot of months and a lot of nights, and it was disappointing. I hate the term keeping up with the Joneses, but every school district in Ottawa County has got a field house type facility, either in the planning or on their campus. As Janine would say, that's what keeps kids in our district. That's what keeps them kids saying, hey, Allendale's the place I want to be, because they're putting money and asking for money and putting stuff into our schools that are going to be beneficial to them in the long run. One of our community meetings that were here, one of the gentlemen talked very much about what athletics and those types of things do to the human brain for young women and men, that they learn by learning how to participate in sports and in their leadership. So I still stand by, I believe it was a good bond. I think there was good stuff in there. There was stuff in there for everybody. And I would encourage people that believe that we were over the top to still even have a conversation with us. Talk to us, say, why did you go for this? Because I do believe there was a solid foundation in everything we asked for. So that being said, like I said, very disappointed, but we still have a great school, and we'll still teach our kids, and we will still support our teachers, and we will go forth and celebrate a graduating class in 2 weeks. So that is all I had for my board comment, for president comment. All right, on to action items. Sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the changes to Neola policies as presented?
I make a motion to approve the changes to the Neola policies as presented.
Support. Is that Tanya? Thank you. Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of it. We did this at our work session, but policies 131.1, 2340, 5320, 5330, 5330.01, 5350, 5460, 8320, 8500, and 8510 are all updates that we're recommending that we take. It is recommended that we rescind policy 1430 that is related to leave time for administrators, and the new ESTA rules make that policy kind of unnecessary. And then policy 8640 has been incorporated into policy 2340, so 8640 is not necessary anymore. So we'd like to rescind those two policies. And then we also want to reject 3430 and 4430. Those again are the ESTA policies for personnel leave, and those are not necessary policies. There's no law connected to them, and they're really not needed. And so ask that we reject those policies.
Perfect. Any discussion?
Garrett, you emailed a couple updates to the policies. Is that included in what we're voting on?
Yeah, so 8500 and 8510 has some new language related to non-discrimination statement that we have to put in there. It's really, it's not necessarily new because our food service director already knew about it and has already had it on some of her literature, but they want us to incorporate it in our policy. One of the things that had come up as we were reviewing this, there was just some language here that was inconsistent with what we've seen out of Washington. For example, it talks about non-discrimination on the basis of sex, and in the previous iteration, it talked about including gender identity and sexual orientation, and that didn't fit with what we're hearing from Washington. And so Neola and Varnum Law took another look at the policy, and they took that language out. And then they just made a few changes at the bottom in relationship to how to file a complaint if you have a complaint, but it was more word realignment than anything else there. But we just, we'd asked the question for them to reconsider it, and in the interim, since I presented this 2 weeks ago, they did reconsider it, and they slightly modified that statement. I think it better fits with both the law and what we're hearing from the federal government.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking the question. I brought that up, so I really appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Amy, will you take the roll, please?
DeYoung,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Halsted,
Yes.
Ramey,
Yes.
Tenbrink,
Yes.
Thurkettle.
Yes.
Motion pass. Can I have a motion to approve the waiver option for PE as presented?
Make a motion to approve the waiver option for PE as presented.
Support.
Motion by Brandon, support by Pam. I'm gonna start the discussion with this. I was given some information, new information, presented with it. I did not have time to get it to everybody. I really haven't read it, so I do not have any more information really than what you guys have. But I would like a motion to postpone this until next month, so you guys can all have the same information I have.
No impact on students.
No impact on student, so,
Can I push back just a little? I think whatever's in that packet is related to PE and the usefulness of PE and the goodness of PE and health and activity, and that's not the question. The question before you today is, do you respect the parents in Allendale enough to give them the right to choose if their child should take PE or another elective? The state has said that there's a PE requirement for ninth grade, but the state has also said if they're in marching band, they can get a waiver. So all we're asking you to do is say, yep, I trust the parents enough to make that decision for their child. None of us are saying PE is not important. None of us are saying that the marching band covers the same content standards as PE. That's not what we're saying. That's not the decision. You're not trying to pick between, you know, the quality of marching band and PE or PE and photography or art class. All the question is, are we willing to say to our parents, we respect you enough to make this decision for your child? Whether they're gonna waive out of PE to take another elective or whether you want them to stay in PE. That's the question on the table, and I respectfully think that the packet that Kevin was given probably talks about all the benefits of being in PE. And again, obviously this district values PE because our kids start taking PE as young fives. And they have it every year through 7th grade. So for 8 years in a row, they're getting PE. And a lot of them take it PE in 8th grade if they don't take band or choir. So we put a lot of money and investment into PE. So this isn't a conversation about PE. And that's the only reason I push back respectfully, Mr. Holsted, because I understand you've got information that you feel maybe the board should see, but I don't think that's the question on the table. And that's why I don't think tabling it makes sense. But we can. It's not going to impact scheduling. I just think that you're going to spend time reading about something that doesn't really speak to the issue.
The decision doesn't have to be made like right away, though. This is for the next school year, correct? So if we pushed it back a month,
But we're scheduling, so every month we put it off.
right?
So right now, if kids knew they could get a waiver, we could start modifying their schedules now. And if we don't find out till June, after school's out, kids might not even know the waiver's available to them until they come back. So then they come back in August, and then they want a waiver, and then they gotta redo their schedule. So while it can be done, it's a matter of time. And I guess I just don't know, what are we gonna learn in the next month? Either we respect our parents' right to choose for their child, or we don't respect their rights to choose.
I disagree with you positioning it that way. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not we respect the parents. It has to do with the board process of having all the information delivered to the board members so that they can adequately and appropriately make the proper decision. At this point, another staff member or somebody within the school district who believes they weren't collaborated with on the process did not get to propose their information to us. So I don't think it has anything to do with the respective parents. It just has to do with our process of considering all the information and then making the decision.
I echo what Josh says, but I also recognize that marching band is physical. And so I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. I was a yes vote. But I would respect whoever provided this additional information, that we respect their wishes in reviewing it.
So I will make a motion to postpone the vote on us voting on the waiver option for PE until our next voting meeting.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Liz, support by Anna. Any discussion on that? All right,
One thing, Kevin. Garth, do you think this warrants any kind of a special meeting, that we would come back together sooner rather than later? Because we don't have,
No, thanks for asking, that's fine.
okay.
all right. That we don't need a roll call. All in favor for the motion on the table, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same.
No?
Thank you. Motion passed. The table till next month. Can I have a motion to approve? I got that one wrong. Sorry. Have a motion to approve DHE for the plumbing work needed for the state filter first requirements.
I make a motion to approve using DHE for the plumbing work needed to meet the state's filter first requirements as presented.
Motion by Liz, support by Anna. Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, legislation was passed a couple of years ago that requires schools and child care centers to meet water quality standards. And under the guidelines, water fixtures in the school that are used for consumption, meaning either drinking or preparing food, must be filtered at the point of use. So you can't just put a filter at the main water line, it has to be at the point of use. In order to get that done, it's gonna cost $180,981.11. We do have grant already approved for about $60,000 of that work, and we've applied for a grant that hopefully will help cover the rest, but we are legally obligated to make this upgrade to our water lines.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Any discussion?
Yeah, the district already has a good working relationship with DHE, is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, they've done a good job for us for a while.
Yep.
Any further discussion? A roll call, please, Amy.
Harris,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Halsted,
Yes.
Ramey,
Yes.
Tenbrink,
Yes.
Thurkettle. Yes. DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion pass. Can I have a motion to approve the OAISD 25-26 budget as presented?
Motion, excuse me, motion to approve, resolution to approve OAISD 25-26 budget for Ottawa Area Independent School District General Fund Budget Resolution. Support.
Motion by Pam, support by Tanya. Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, we've been given all the information about the OAISD budget. You know, I think they do a pretty good job. They're pretty transparent about the work that they've been trying to do. They're, trying to expand the tech center so more of our students have opportunities to attend out there. You can see they also had filter first that they had to get done. I think they probably went through the same thoughtful budgeting process that we go through for ours, and so I would recommend that we support their budget.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for Dr. Cooper?
Ton of information provided by the OASD, and it was good. It was a lot to digest. There's a lot there that I'm not familiar with yet, 'cause I'm fairly new. But I appreciated how much detail they provided on the budget.
Yeah, I would agree, there's a lot there. Dr. Cooper, do you know, is there, if we, no, we don't have much time to digest this. Is there a way we can get that earlier if we have questions for the OAISD? I'm like,
Not really, because they have to go through the same process that we do, so they.
It's kinda what I
you know,
figured,
they can't-
but-
They can't do their budget any sooner. They're speculating more than we're speculating. So,
Okay.
you know, they have to, they're just guessing at funding. Hopefully, by the time we get to ours in June, we'll know a little more. So, no, I think they've prepared it as early as they possibly can. And, this is good why we have a representative to their board meetings so that we can have somebody at their meetings and hear the conversations that they have.
Okay.
That's a good way for us to stay educated on how those funds are being spent.
all right, thank you.
Yeah?
If no further discussion, Amy, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Hendricks,
Yes.
Holsteg,
Yes.
Ramey,
Yes.
Tenbrink,
Yes.
Thurkettle,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Motion pass. Can I have a motion for the truth and taxation hearing? Resolution.
Sorry. I make a motion to approve the resolution scheduling of the 2025 Truth and Taxation Budget Hearing at 5:15 on June 9th.
Motion by Liz. Support by Anna. Dr. Cooper.
Yep, we have to do this every year. This is where we'll have a special meeting, and Scott will dazzle us with his budget forecast for 2025-26. And then at the regular board meeting to follow that at 6 o'clock is when we'll vote. He'll go through both the final amended budget for 24-25 and also give a quick overview of the 25-26.
All right, thank you. I guess one question I have to the board members is, I know we had this discussion about times last month. Can we?
Summer was fun.
Okay, and I.
Summer was fine. I
Okay.
couldn't make June, July, and August work.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before we set this, and, all right. Any further discussion? Amy, you take a roll, please.
Holsteg,
Yes.
Ramey,
Yes.
Tenbrink,
Yes.
Thurkettle,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Motion pass. Can I have a motion to approve the changing of the name of New Options?
Motion to approve the changing of the name of New Options High School program.
Support.
Motion by Pam, support by Brandon. Dr. Cooper?
Yeah, we've done a lot of great through that program throughout the years, no doubt about it, but I think over the last several years, that program's come to be seen more as a credit recovery program. You go there if you fall behind, you pick some credits up, you go back. And really, we've got a lot of students who are looking for more than that. They're looking for a true alternative to the general high school setting. And so we want to create for them an alternative high school program, one where you can go and earn your diploma. And that, I think, by changing the name, we can make kids understand that this is something different, it's something new. And the name we're looking at is Allendale Virtual Academy, which I think will just let folks know that's what this is all about. It's an online program, and again, we want them to understand, you might start there as a 10th grader, we hope you stay till you're a senior and get your diploma from Allendale Virtual Academy.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper.
And just to
Any
clarify,
discussion?
that was to allow you, if they wanted to do tech center, they could also possibly do that, Is that
Yes.
an option? Okay, I just want to make sure that was, okay.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
And we've landed on the name Allendale Virtual Academy.
Yeah, I keep trying it out with folks, and they all seem to like it. I keep asking for other suggestions, but that seems to be the one.
Yeah, I like it. It's just the way this is worded, it doesn't seem like we've made a definitive decision yet.
That's what we're working on.
Okay, good.
Hopefully, actually, if this gets approved tonight, hopefully for June, I'll have some, like a logo and things like that to share with you.
Awesome.
Some branding.
Thank you.
Can we, or is it part of our plan to offer like GED courses as community education through this format, through this organization?
If you offer GED classes, then there's a whole different set of criteria, and quite honestly, like you can't have anyone under the age of 16, I don't think, if you're doing an adult GED.
I see.
So then you ace out some other kids.
Thank you. That's a good question. Amy, will you take our roll call vote, please?
Ramey?
Yes.
Tenbrink?
Yes.
Thurkettle?
Yes.
DeYoung?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Holsteig?
Yes. Motion passed. Can I have a motion for the full-time position of Rick and Amanda?
I'll make a motion to approve Amanda Price and Rick Dormer for full-term positions and non-semi for the partial position.
Support.
Right, motion by Josh, support by Liz. I believe we had the discussion in the previous meeting. Is there anybody who would like to add any further discussion to this? If not, Amy, we take a roll, please.
Tenbrink?
Yes.
Thurkettle?
Yes.
DeYoung?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Holsteig?
Yes.
Ramey?
Yes.
The motion passed. Can I have a motion to approve the renewal of MASB?
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of MASB membership as presented.
Motion by Josh,
Support.
support by Pam. Dr. Cooper, if you can.
Yeah, again, this is your association, so I don't go too deep into these waters, but I will just say this. There are a lot of reasons, we've talked about them already, the fact that they offer classes, the fact that they can do some board work for us if we want them to come in and meet with the board and talk about board dynamics and board norms and those kind of things. I think one of the things that people don't really know enough about MASB, but I do, because it's ironic, the timing, this Wednesday, I will be in Lansing again. Once a month I go for a Legislative Policy Committee meeting as a representative of MASA, which is School Administrators Association, and MASB is in that room. And we can't lose sight of the fact that there are about 40 or 50 pieces of legislation a year related to schools, and MASB is in there having those conversations, and they do have an influence over our legislators on what's good for schools. They try to protect us so that if there's some legislation being proposed that comes at a cost, you've all heard about unfunded mandates. That's happened to schools over the years where the state will pass a law and say you have to do this, this, and this, and there's a price tag to it, but there's no dollars that go with it. And so MASB fights for that, to protect schools so that those things don't happen. Again, we all know the things that have happened and some of the things that maybe still continue to go on with MASB, being mindful that they represent almost 600 school districts across the state, and we're not all the same. There are school districts who appreciate the work they do on DEI, for example, and some of those other things. But I just don't want that to get lost. And I think, it was mentioned they haven't separated themselves from the national organization, and I think one of the reasons, if you ask them, in fact, I think we did ask them a couple years ago, the reason they didn't is because the NASB is fighting for schools at the national level, which right now, when they're talking about taking away 10% of our funding, is important to have that voice as well. So There's bad things that some of us would think about these organizations, but there's also, they do an awful lot of advocacy for schools. A lot of it goes unseen, and I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that was there. In terms of SETSAG, I reached out again, and once again, they can give us a year's grace. So if we decide this is the year we're gonna drop MASB, we can keep SETSAG for one more year, but according to their charter, then that's it, and we'd have to have another alternative. And as we talked about at the work session, you're either looking at a private company and the costs are gonna be much higher, or you're looking at what's called the pool, and we've had a very negative experience with that in the past. And so, if we want, again, if you have to decide if the things that are bothering us about MASB are more important than the protection we get, our kids, our staff, our family members, our community gets from SETSAG. So that's the challenge. You have to kind of, that's one of the things you kind of have to weigh tonight. So that's all I wanted to say about that, because again, it's your organization. If you got questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper.
How is Mesa related to MASB? Are they?
Mesa, MASA that I'm part of?
Yeah.
So they're all like, so the Michigan Association of Secondary or School Administrators, there's MASSP, which is Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, there's MSBO, which is Michigan School Business Officials. There are all these different state organizations, and they're kind of networked together, but they all have their own executive boards. They all have, so MASB's executive, Don Retruba, does not work for MASA. We have our own executive, which is Tina Kerr. So they kind of work together, and they, again, the meetings I'm at, the two entities that are in the room are MASB and MASA, helping to shape policy.
Okay, yeah, and that's, I think, what I've been exposed to mostly at this point is advocacy. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's being advocated for, and a lot of sort of legal guidance, which is valuable, but I question, is that redundant? What MASB is providing, are we getting similar information from Thrun that maybe isn't, that we're not seeing, but I know you get weekly or monthly updates? Is that typically the case?
From Thrun?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get monthly updates. School law notes come every month. They're great. I love getting those. The thing I would say about the legal advice you get from MASB is that it's very board specific. And so Brad Manasek, who's got over 20 years of experience representing school boards, the School Board Association, he's very knowledgeable about Robert's Rules of Order and how to run a meeting and procedural issues. And he also works very closely with Neola. Like when I go to the Neola workshop every fall, he's a co-presenter there. And so that's what's nice about Brad, is that he's really knowledgeable about board and board meetings and things like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna reiterate that point, that the amount of times in the almost 9 years that I've reached out to him and we don't receive a bill, I should go back and look at how many times I have, but I mean, he is very responsive, phone call, email, at meetings, everything, and he knows everything about everything, and I love the way that he presents it back to you, because if you ask him a question about board polity, he'll say, well, this is what the state law says, this is what this school board did, and this is what this other school board did over here, and so it kind of falls in between there. So he is never dictating what has to be done, but he just continually recites law back and or practices that boards have taken. So I've really appreciated his counsel over the years. And that's part of our association, that anyone on the board. So the difference being that Troon technically is working for the school district and or the board, but in that sense, if we email Troon, we will get a bill for that. Whereas with Brad, we will not.
With exception to the membership cost.
Yeah, the membership.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Important distinction.
Yeah.
So the information that you've gotten from Brad, do you think that it has been sort of neutral in political bias?
100%. I've been to several of their legal councils too, where he is leading, and he had 3 different law firms there presenting. And anytime that, I mean, more so too, especially when you're talking about board polity, it's unable to be biased because it's, you know, following the Robert's Rules of Orders. It doesn't, you know, take lead from a political viewpoint. So I feel like I said, and that's what I really appreciated him is he just says, this is what the law says. This is what, you know, Robert Rules of Order says. This is what this school district did. This is what this school district did. He doesn't say you have to do this. So that's how I've enjoyed his style of engagement because I don't feel like he's an agenda pusher.
Good insight.
Yeah.
And,
I
you
couldn't
know-
tell you what his political leaning is based off of any email that I've ever received from him.
Good insight. And now you've kind of endorsed them. Pam had good things to say at our last meeting. I'm 3 months in, haven't had a lot of exposure. What I have had has been very politically and legally focused, but it sounds like there's opportunities to network for student outcomes and operate more as, I think, what I'm used to in terms of an association, but probably have to go on some of those retreats, so.
So I personally do not agree with some of the ideologies that MASB presents. I've stated this in the past, and some of their resolutions include urging school media centers and classroom libraries to reflect the broader society and access to books reflecting sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions. They also talk about urging state legislative to create registration and a monitoring system on homeschoolers, and in my opinion, this goes against a person's just natural rights and their constitutional rights. I believe families should have freedom to school their children without oversight of government. And again, parents have that natural right in making decisions for their kids. This has been my vote for the past 3 years, and my vote will still be no.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I have to say I've kind of had the same experience Josh has had. I have gone to some of their, to one of their trainings. I found it very, very helpful, very, neutral. I have called Brad on some stuff, so he has been a resource I have used, so. With that combined with SAG, you know, I would be a yes vote. So, is there any further discussion, Pam?
Regarding things like books, that is a state and federal law. If we don't like that, it's not MASB's issue. It is our issue, and if there's a group that doesn't like that, they can certainly go to their representative and suggest a change. But at this point, it's the law.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the one thing with that is much political involvement, and I won't say activism, but political involvement, the association that I'm seeing so far with limited exposure, you know, obviously that's going to influence those laws. And so that would be my sort of, you know, thought or concern is if there is an ideology and if there is strong positions on things that maybe I don't agree with, or the constituents that voted for me, I believe, don't believe in, then, you know, just forecasting out, I think that's kind of my position on it. But that being said, I'm a delegate. I am interested in getting more involved. If we keep that membership, that's something that I will definitely do. And that way I can share a little bit more about my experience next year when we have this conversation again, if we have this conversation again.
There is occasional legal updates as well that discuss exactly the topics that Anna issued a concern about. And Those are available for all of us as board members to attend, and they specifically indicate why certain things are the way they are and the way the laws are written. And they're incredibly insightful, so I would suggest that you keep an eye out for those. And like I said, there's always one in August. There was another one at the Michigan Conference in October. So, yeah, I would say if you have questions, that's a good place to go.
Any other questions or comments? Amy, will you have our roll call vote, please?
Thurkettle?
Yes.
DeYoung?
Yes.
Karas?
No.
Hendricks?
No.
Holsteig?
Yes.
Ramey?
No.
Tenbrink?
So I would be interested to learn more about MASB, but I know the sort of political position of the association is a concern of mine. And I think maybe there's a better option out there for us, so I'm gonna vote no.
So the motion failed. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 7:07 PM?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:07 PM.
Motion by Anna, support by Liz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say the same. Motion passed. You're out of here.